Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, here for a brief introduction before today's finale of our Damn Dirty April Planet of the Apes marathon. I actually can't believe we made it. I'm kind of sad to see it go, man, but before that, a little business. People, it's official. We're on Patreon. Patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. The absolute best way to help us grow the show, to support the show, but to get more and more specifically what you want out of this show. Every month we let our patrons vote on their exclusive episodes. You can have us do a commentary. You can get mini-series. Hell, you can talk to us all the time over on Discord and help drive us to pick the things you want. So again, that's patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. It means the world to us that we have people that support the show. So thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. If you want to be one of those people, we appreciate it. Patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. There's plenty of stuff you can do to help the show for free if financially is not an option, right? You can like, follow, subscribe to all the socials, right? Share things, retweet things, engage, that kind of stuff helps us out. You can go to the YouTube, Film Alchemist. You can email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. If you just want to talk to us, you have ideas for movies or themes, we love to hear all that. Go ahead, reach on out. Yeah, the YouTube is Film Alchemist. I might have already said that. Make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings and reviews wherever you find the pod. That helps us defeat the algorithmic, insane humans that kill their own sons so they can't destroy our show, right? So 5-star ratings and reviews anywhere and everywhere you listen to podcasts. That helps us out. Sorry, I have a neck injury. I look like a bobblehead doing this. Also, guys, something you can do that would really help us out. If you're listening to this show, you clearly love movies. If you love movies, you probably have a movie-loving friend, right? And if you've got a movie-loving friend, send them the show. Send them the show directly. Let them know that you like what we're doing. See if they do too. We'll take it from there. We appreciate it. Ow! Right. Patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. I got you. You thought the business was done, but it weren't. But I put it on you one more time. All right. People, it's official. We are at the end of Damn Dirty April. We end with War for the Planet of the Apes, which we learned recently is not the end of the Planet of the Apes. We have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes coming up. There's a great documentary about the makeup crew. There's plenty of more apes out there for you if you want. There's comic books, all that stuff. But we here at the Film Alchemist Pod, joined by our friend Jay Rollins, at Jay Rollins Art on all the socials, we have hit the end of our Damn Dirty April. So we are ending with an epic finale, right? The finale of Caesar, the finale of this trilogy, this Andy Serkis trilogy. And I would say this is as glorious a send-off as you could get for a trilogy. I'm going to make the case at the end of the show when we do our official Planet of the Apes rankings that this may be the highest that the Planet of the Apes franchise ever soared. So I hope you enjoy the show. Guys, I hope if you can support the show, Film Alchemist, or patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod, or if you can help Jay Rollins Art, at Jay Rollins Art on all the socials. Wonderful guy, man. It means the world to us that Jay made so much time. Podcasting seems like we just turn it on and go. It actually takes a lot of work, right? And so for Jay to carve out all that time in his busy schedule to talk to us for 9 fucking movies. I know I speak for Alex when I say we love Jay very much. He's a good friend to us, and we also appreciate that he made all the time. So we got to do this wonderful journey with you guys as well. So thanks again to Jay, at Jay Rollins Art, everywhere you find art stuff, or anywhere you find social stuff. He's out there, man. He's done some awesome commissions for me. So he also did the Damn Dirty April art that you've seen. So Jay's a very talented guy. I'm sad to see it go, but what a fucking way to go out. So I hope you guys enjoy the last film in Damn Dirty April, War for the Planet of the Apes.
I can't help thinking somewhere in the universe there has to be something better than man.
No!
We have seen the birth of the Planet of the Apes!
Let's go explain evolution to the monkeys.
You may not like what you find.
You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell! It's a madhouse! A madhouse! Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty...
April! I'm just kidding, it's me.
This is a movie that every time they show Caesar in close up for the whole movie, you're like, that guy's having a cigarette right now.
Caesar needs cigarettes.
That's what every one of my fellow smokers. That's what we look like when we're outside. It's like, why do we do the things that we do? We're just ripping cigs and like trying.
You know what the look is? You know what the look is? It's when he's on the beach. They're like on the beach on the horses, and they're walking. He's like staring down that little mute girl, and he's just like,
yeah. Yeah, he's even got those red ass eyes. He's been up all night smoking and drinking. But yeah, I gotta say, this is the first time I had seen War since the theater, and I don't know why, but I remember this being a pretty subpar movie. Like, my recollection of it, I went back, I think I had rated it like only a 3 out of 5 or something. Like, I just didn't work for me. I watched it last night, and I think there's a really good case this is the best movie they ever made in the Planet of the Apes franchise.
I know what you're saying.
This movie is fucking stunning. The only argument I could make against this being the best Planet of the Apes is that it requires you to bring stuff from the other movies. But other than that, I mean, this movie is damn near flawless.
Yeah. I felt the exact same way. I think I know why we were disappointed when it came out. And it's the promotional material for it was like, and the great battle is about to happen. and then it's just like, it's slower Apocalypse Now.
yeah.
And more
They even said it's Ape Apocalypse Now, yes.
Yeah.
It's somehow, I remember that trailer for Dawn was like,
well, that had the metal as fuck like hunting scene.
Yeah.
So you're like, whoa.
And I think I agree. Like the war, like all the lead up to War was, you're like, oh man, are they gonna land this plane in like the way that you land a plane during a storm, or are we gonna like get this one?
Here's the thing now, they landed it so well, I'm actually like, I don't even want Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes anymore.
That's what I thought too.
Like, it needs to be its own new thing, because like, I don't see where you go with this like series, right? So, but I was just struck by, right? Because they also have this super metal opening of the soldiers attacking the trench.
Mm-hmm.
We see that there are like ape traders now who have been kind of usurped by these military people, right? So they call them donkeys, right? And make them like work for them. So now you're adding this whole extra layer of kind of like societal world building, right? It's classic Planet of the Apes. But the thing that just fucking like lands on you in this one, right? When you kind of do your journey with Rocket and Maurice, Luca, and Caesar, right? As they're kind of on their journey. The amount of character work and empathy that we built up with these characters that rarely speak is fucking like Maurice ends this movie, and you're like, Maurice is probably my favorite character in
Maurice
any of the
is
Planet of
my
the Apes
favorite
movies
character in this
by
whole
the end of this movie.
series.
But like Luca's not like a character we spend 3 movies like really getting to know.
Yeah.
He's got like real fucking ethos. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's incredible what they achieved with those characters by the end of this franchise.
That's the whole first half, is just the apes going on a journey to they don't even know where. The whole second half of the movie is internment camp. That's its own thing. Okay, so the thing that dawned on me.
Red letters in case we forgot.
It was this thing of like, the thing that happens to me when I watch the original trilogy of Star Wars, where I'm just when I do like a little marathon, and I'm like, Empire Strikes Back is the best movie that ever happened. Okay, let's do the next one that's pretty fun. It's like, this is the one with the Emperor. Are we kidding? This is fucking awesome. I love
Dude,
this movie.
I am one of like the hardest Jedi defenders, because that's the one people shit on a lot. Fucking love that movie.
Because it's got parts that sort of don't matter, but it's also
I'm the most pro Ewok person who's ever existed.
The Ewoks are great, but
they're a brutal warlike race that took down robots with logs, dude.
That part's great.
That part's great.
Leia and Han have no character development in that movie. That's the only problem. But like
they pretty much, the only thing that they end with is like Han realizing, whoa, she definitely
they're
kissed
stuck in
her
that
brother all
Mulder
those years
Scully,
ago.
will they, won't they, right? We're in this like kind of pause with them.
Yeah,
You know,
I
as soon
think-
as that movie ends, you're like, oh yeah, dude. Thank God they live above the ground level because it's about to be
Well,
flooded.
now it's like, oh, cool, they will. And also at the end, you realize I also might have to swing with her brother. I'm not cool.
No, Luke's got a higher road, dude. Incest
Well,
is not for him anymore. He was a simple farm boy who didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, that's how they do it on the farm.
You get off the farm, you see the big city, like, you know, things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But like the director being like, "What if she had a pretty dress and she cried a little?" That's not who Leia is.
I'm just saying.
I can't tell you.
Shit
You
happens,
can tell
as we
Luke
learn in this
is
movie.
good.
Yeah, as we learn in this movie, shit happens during war, guys. Shit happens.
Yes. Yeah, a real war movie. But like that's how I felt about it. Is just like I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is such a perfect movie that I forget how amazing this one is.
You know what's weird, though? Is this one feels like it just steps it up from Dawn. Because, like, that one has the weird, like, he goes back to his house, and it's got kind of this weird, like, 30-minute dead spot.
Mhm.
I feel like this one doesn't.
This one feels like
Woody Harrelson's character is so much more engaging than any of the humans in Dawn.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
hell yeah.
he has, like, a real, like, crystal clear read on the situation, right? Like, there's none of this kind of squishy, what are we doing, right? He is a true blue, I'm the bad guy, but I think what I'm doing is right. And it just gives this extra level, right? And then we get so much more character work, because Koba is amazing in Dawn, right? And I love the addition of the ghost of Koba haunting Caesar in this movie.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Those
so
scenes are
good.
great when he's just, you know, ape, not kill ape. Or like when Caesar's like racked up, dude, on that kind of crucifix thing. And he's like, you can't save them. All the apes die here. And he's like, join me, brother. I was like, fuck. Koba is like going to be a hard hill to surpass.
Doesn't
for
it?
this movie.
It feels like for this like $100 million production, you're like, did just no studio head like walk on set and was like, I don't know about that. We're not gonna be able to sell any toys. You're like,
That's what
fuck off, get out of here.
How
Buy your
did they
ghost
get
Koba
away
with karate
this?
chop action.
How did they get away with this?
Because
this movie
Matt
ends-
Reeves told him to
It
fuck
is kind
off.
of the great mystery of these two movies. They got to make these really kind of, you know, spiritual
Really-
war movies,
Yeah, really
right?
like
Which does
metal.
not seem like what these would be.
I think
It's
I
like-
said this
yeah.
before, but it was like it was a perfect time when Fox could do whatever it wanted, just because like
Fox
they were drowning. Everybody else had a franchise.
Yeah.
Fox
that
was
was-
on the verge. They knew they were gonna end up, they knew they were gonna get bought. I think probably. So they were like, I mean, what could possibly go wrong at this point? We're already about to get.
Well, I'm just saying, in like the franchise
the
we've
A.
even seen after this, right? Like, imagine if they had this kind of like actually examining things, kind of reality, right?
Well, like when's the
'Cause
last
now we
time?
don't really dig in on a franchise level beyond a very
Right.
surface. John Wick's sad because of his dog. 4 movies of murders, right? And it's
Whatever.
like, that's great.
But
That's
like
great.
when's the last time besides John Wick is obviously like an action movie, and that's like it's got a lot of adult
right, but
stuff.
kind of
But
so
like
is this, man.
it is, but like this movie is also like these 3 movies are so not built for children, like at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well, it's like the
every
big
movie.
comparison is like Marvel, right?
Well, it's not even Marvel. Like any franchise that comes out, the idea is that you get the entire run of the demographics.
Right.
Planet of the Apes, these 3 Planet of the Apes movies are so specifically for people who love Planet of the Apes and adults 30 to 75 or whatever the fucking demo is. Like it is a trilogy of movies that is like they're huge popcorn budget films that are about like the pathos and the life of a warrior, and like
Yeah.
it's incredible.
The entire saga of a man's life. We watch
That's
him
it.
be born. We watch him rise. We watch him become a leader. We watch him fight to the death. We watch his whole epic journey happen. And
It's amazing.
We see his, what do you mean I can't have an iPad, Mom? We see that phase.
yes,
You know what I mean?
no, and I like, it's what adults who still really love Harry Potter think Harry Potter is, where it's sort of like
Yeah.
cute.
That's a
goes to
great
dark,
way to
goes
put it.
Darker.
That's a great way to put it. Yes.
Well, I mean,
That's-
you see Caesar at the start of this, and it's like wearing on him.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
now
no,
he's
he's
this
got
wartime leader,
he's
right?
got the gray.
all
He's got the
grayed out.
grays.
Yeah,
Great
he's smoking
puzzle.
Marlboro Reds now. He's like, I don't even
Yeah.
give a fuck, dude. He's just trying to exist. But we start off with that fucking awesome opening, right? With this assault on the trench, and we see him walking through, and they're just like peeling like injured and dead apes out of everywhere, right? It's like 36 of us got killed.
Sorry, with the text that came on. Anybody else hear a little ping of Griffey cream in his jeans? Because that's like his that's how you're gonna get Griff to sit through a movie. When text comes on screen at the top of a film, that is gonna get Griff in the theater, in the seat. Once you get Griff in the pocket with the opening reads, that's how we know Griffey's gonna sit for the movie.
Yeah, that's how I'll sit for the rest of the 2.5 hours of your movie is reading. But
Oh yeah. If
I know-
anybody wants to go back to the Monster Squad episode, he talks very deeply about that part.
I love an opening scroll, dude. Cut out the first
I know-
15 minutes of bullshit you're gonna film.
I know my
Put it
Griff.
on like 2 pages of text, and then start the movie where the good shit is. Neither here nor there. But I love Caesar walking in, right? And he's got these POWs. He's got this traitor gorilla who is. We find that like Koba's faction
Yeah.
scattered, right? Because they were
They're
afraid
all-
of what would happen.
they're the donkeys.
After they saw Caesar murder Koba. And then they're like, all right, we're going to work for the humans now, right? So
Shit,
we
I
see
guess
this.
Ape will kill Ape.
I think they
Gotta
call
go.
him red-haired donkey in the
Yeah.
closed captions, right? But we see him. He's like, I'm not afraid of you. But he's working for the humans. And there's this great moment where Caesar's sitting there with these POWs, and you just see him just kind of like watching, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how did it come to this? He has to decide what to do with these people, right? What to do with this gorilla. And he sets them free. Why the fuck? This is kind of a continual thing that happens in this movie. Is Caesar just making questionable at best decisions, right? Like they're somewhat justified in the world. It's not like a horror movie, right? Where it's like, let's run to the basement with no windows.
Right.
Why the fuck does he set these people free?
To me, he's trying to. Well, for one, that one is like the opener when he sets those guys free. He's trying to say like, okay, great. Like he says to Maurice, he's like, they're gonna see that we're not savages.
Yeah.
He
Which
knows.
again is the
But
dumbest.
He knows.
Again, it's not a good it's not a good plan. He's trying to be quote unquote the bigger man, even though he knows that that's not what's going to work. Like it's this catch-22. Like he either kills them, and everybody knows that Caesar kills, or he tries to be the better quote man.
He's
I
got.
mean,
he's
Caesar
got
killed the
moral
other
high
30
ground.
of them.
He's trying to take the moral high ground, but
They
no
killed
one
the other
ever
30
gives him
soldiers.
that.
What I'm saying is, you can try to be magnanimous, whatever.
Sure.
They already killed the other 30, right? Sending the 3, survivors back. And also, he knows that this is going to lead them directly to where their base is, right? He knows there are women and children there. They're trying to find a way out. Why not just keep them? Why not just feed them? I mean, this is one of those where it feels... Cause it's like, is it literally just because he called them animals, right? And he's like, I'll prove a point. But why? And to who? Right? Like this moment in the movie is kind of the one hardest moment to swallow. Right? You cannot, there's no part of me that believes fully that Caesar's like, this is going to help our cause.
I don't think he thinks it's going to help their cause, or at least he tells himself it's going to help his cause. But yes, it's because they're called animals. We saw his entire life. We saw him when he was a teenager. What made him the most like I hurt myself today, sad, looking in the mirror, looking at this little cutout, was like,
wealthy, yeah.
was like, I'm not an animal, not yet a human. All I need is time. And he.
Wow. We're doing Britney quotes. This is a good pod. I am stoked.
It's Caesar, bitch.
It's Caesar, bitch.
Caesar, bitch. No, yeah, that's Dawn.
Yeah.
But it's he.
Daddy didn't care. It's Caesar.
What is? I'll teach you how to say what is Caesar sounding with. What is Caesar? Caesar, by the way, is a C on his head like a crown. Right? Koba is a K into a fist. This means strong.
That's actually perfect. Yeah.
But like, yes. So, what is Caesar? Is the whole crux of his psychology and why he does everything that he does, from the first movie to this one. And he's honestly not a war tactician at all. If he was, he can't keep saying this is our forest, just leave the forest alone. That's not what they're going to do. They could just keep walking.
Mm-hmm.
They did develop some tactics, though, right? They have these smoke bombs. They've learned archery or, something along those lines, right? They keep their cavalry in.
They've learned, they watch Gladiator.
So this is what
and
I'm
like,
saying.
man, we got to
Clearly
do that.
They've had a lot of these incidents with which to develop a tactical response. So there is this point where it feels a little bit like Caesar is clinging to this ideal, right? They're like, we can still make this work, but he has to know.
Isn't that the greatness of the character, though? Like, that's that pride cometh before the fall thing about Caesar that's so fascinating to watch, because we see him, he's got the grays, he's clearly exhausted, he has a family, like he has things to look out for. So yeah, I agree. Like the logic is, he's the leader. The logic is, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I think that's like what flies in the face of logic is hubris. And I think he's just doing what it's fascinating because you think about it, he's just doing what every other person would do, which is to stand your ground and protect your land, essentially.
If you guys were in my tribe, though, like if you lived in my tree village, I'm throat slicing every one of those dudes.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I mean, you're a good friend. That's nice of you. But
to save you and Hank and Jay and his colored pencils, I'm slicing throats to save you guys.
Well, and that's the issue with Caesar's never-ending moral high ground.
Exactly.
He only fights defensively. That's why I say he's not a military tactician. He's not ready to see their weakness and take them out. And
he's a survivalist.
And he doesn't find out until the end that his enemy is not looking to win so that he can gain land. His enemy knows that his entire species is going to be gone, and he's going to let the human race die in a blaze of glory, and he's going to take the apes with him.
Right. There is something about hearing him say, like, he is more than a man. He's everything to these people, right? The colonel is this thing.
He's a god. Yeah.
And he's just like, we'll be cool. I let these dudes go. And I think this is the moment of the movie that, like, really launches it to the next level, is we see him pay an immediate and a brutal price. That scene where Caesar and the colonel lock eyes and both of their glances look down to Bright Eyes and his wife, Cornelia, whoever his wife's character name was. One of his many wives, as we see later. Lake was for sure, like, wife number 3. Neither here nor there. But we see Caesar and the colonel lock eyes on his wife and his son slain. And you see everything in Caesar. He reverts back to his most primal form, and he's like, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. And I think him having to suffer those immediate, because it's not 36 dead members of his tribe now.
No.
Right?
Now
that he can kind of like rationalize away.
That's his family.
His son and his wife. And he sees that immediate price for his complacency, for his, I didn't start the war, Koba did. Like this whole kind of like false reality he's been crafting between movies.
Yeah.
And it is so fucking brutal of a moment. I mean, it's absolutely devastating.
You could sort of see how he fights in general in the first movie. Yeah. Because when he's first put into the sanctuary, and was it Rocket? Somebody rips his clothes
Rocket's
off.
the one who first ripped his Paddington sweater, and then he made it a beach.
Ripped his Paddington sweater. He just sort of takes it and waits, and then takes him out later because he could think. But what got him into that sanctuary in the first place was seeing somebody hurt his family. John Lithgow, he jumps out the window and he just starts biting and just starts attacking. He can think things through if it's against him, but if it's against his family or against his tribe, he goes red and he just does what happened.
Right. It is like it's fascinating because it is like the most human reaction. Like, I mean, like even watching it last night, I had Andrea and I were sitting down. I had just like visceral emotional reaction watching that scene Like, I was just like, I think I'd probably be doing the same shit. I mean, there's no tactician, there's no survivalist. Like, if I came home and saw like my wife and kid down, I'd be like,
and you saw
someone is going to die.
You were like looking eye to eye with them. You're like, I'm going to kill this
you
guy
are
or get
fucking
killed.
Dead. Absolutely.
That'd be better than having to just live with it. Right? Like, there is kind of almost a suicide run version of what Caesar's doing here.
That's exactly what this is. There's nothing when he sends the tribe off and he says,
oh my God. Like, that's a great point. In that moment, he literally hands off the son he has left. He hands off Cornelius, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there is this beautiful thing, right? It takes him a long time in the movie to realize there's so much more that he has to live for. Be it his boys, right, that are running with him. Mm-hmm. Be it the rest of this tribe, right? There's still a life where the apes could have just gone to that oasis, right? And he could have been a good father to that one kid. He's still got 5 other wives. Like, this could have been fine. But he just cannot. And this is kind of his journey through the movie, is him saying, I am like Koba. He finally confesses it. He says, I too cannot forgive or let go of my hatred. And so there's this real, like, they put him in this place where the heavy is the head that, you know, lies upon the crown or whatever, or crown that lies upon the head, whatever. But it's more, for him, it's just brought down. I think the high level, like, he just stands up and gives people that bitch face. I think that part's easy, but now it's in his house.
I think it's a baser level than that, though. Like, to me, it's having to, and this is like what we've been talking about the entire series, is it's having to admit this human part of yourself. Like, not wanting to be that level, like wanting to rise above it, wanting to be different than the people who essentially brought you into this world. It's this parenting thing. Like, I want my kid to be better than me all the time. But like, when you have to essentially stoop to the level of your captors, your jailers, those kinds of things, but at the same time, you have to admit that there's a piece of you that's so uniquely human, which simply is revenge. Because, like, to me, when he sends Cornelius off with Lake, that's when I'm like, this is a fucking revenge movie, straight up. Like, we are not even doing, like, and that's what, and again, that is what Matt Reeves understood with this whole thing, is he's like, I don't have to do a big sweeping, like, Return of the Kingness to end this whole thing. What I need to do is make this as simple as possible. And the simplest thing is to give Caesar the only motivation he has left that he hasn't given into, which is revenge. So for him to finally give into that and become a instrument of vengeance is uniquely human.
Well, there's an element of, right, like we see him in the first one, there's kind of this revenge element, right, when he doesn't go with Franco. He's like, I'm going to smarten up my co-prisoners and we're going to get the fuck out of here, right? And the fact that he does it at noon, right, so he knows that humans will, like, have to see it. I think what you see in this one, though, is it's so much easier to be that guy on the Golden Gate Bridge to lead these revolutions, these bloody demonstrations, when you don't have a wife and kids and you don't have stakes. You know, you're like, if they kill me, fine. Like, it's better than being locked up and being, you know, this creature that doesn't have a place in the world. When he has to see other people that he cares for suffer specifically for that, I think that's what makes it harder. And so, yeah, there is this kind of strange pull on him. Yeah. Right? That he wants revenge so much that now he's willing to sacrifice and, like, orphan his other remaining son. Right? We immediately see him then orphan another human child.
Right. You're sitting there and you're doing exactly what you're doing. What you're doing is the selfish thing. You're doing the most human thing you can, which is make it under the guise of this, like, you know, revenge fantasy, essentially. But you're sending your only child left off with your group and saying, like, I got to go see about a thing. Yeah. And you're like, dude, that is your family. That kid needs you. Like, that would, like, that's
leaving
the leader.
all of them unprotected, right?
That's the leader thing. Warriors. The leader thing is to swallow that and say, I'm going to, you know, what he does is something that is so, again, it's like, it's so baseline.
Well, because
it's so good.
When he gets there, it's not John Wick. It's not, I'm going to take everybody out. It's, I didn't know that was your son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just fighting a war here. I had to say myself. It wasn't this big epic meeting of them, but everything that happens to Caesar brings him closer and closer to Woody Harrelson's mindset.
Yeah.
To the point like that we don't even know as the audience until he lays it out in like this beautiful apocalypse now. Let me describe my life moment.
Yeah.
And you realize you know who Woody Harrelson is because you saw Caesar go through it.
Yeah.
And the two are meeting in the middle. Both of them don't care if they live.
It's possible Woody Harrelson is the first human being I've given a shit to watch in these movies since Charlton Heston.
Oh, he's so good.
He is
yeah.
so, and I think this is something because Woody Harrelson doesn't do like, I don't know how to describe this because like I think
vaccines.
It's not good.
He doesn't want that 5G, dude.
Woody Harrelson is I think we're so used to seeing Woody Harrelson do like Zombieland and stuff like that, like things where he does not have to do a lot of this.
To follow up on my joke that you hated, I'll let you finish. It's not a movie where Woody definitely needed.
You don't
a
have
vaccine.
to finish,
That's all I'm going to say. Woody should have got the vaccine in this movie. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
He didn't need it. He was immune.
What I think's interesting about his performance as the Colonel is how often we don't get to see Woody Harrelson do movies like this. Like it's basically he just did True Detective and then came over and did this, and like he's so good in these kinds of roles that he's funny. He's a really fun, great comedic actor. We just forget though that he can
Caesar,
absolutely
I just want you to
down.
stop saying odd shit.
Forget it.
No, I'm saying I'm with you though, right? Because he's essentially doing like a working man's Kurtz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's not this like well-read philosophical guy. He's this thing because he has this, this great him and Caesar. That's the scene of the movie. Them just mind to mind, right?
Yeah.
And he says essentially in paraphrase, right? You'll eventually replace us. That's the law of nature. Nature's punishing us. And then he starts talking about how his son went on one of the like missions, right? Mm-hmm. And his son started to become primitive, like an animal.
Yeah.
And then the doctor had a theory before he went primitive, right? That the disease is mutating. This is setting us up for the world of the very first Planet of the Apes, right? Where the humans were mute, right? Physically, they're fine, but something is taking away their faculties, right?
Right.
And he said, the disease is killing us and robbing us of what makes us human.
Right.
And he says, it was a moment of clarity, and he had to put a gun to his son's head. And he said, through his primitive eyes, I still saw that he trusted or loved me, right? And he said, and I pulled that trigger, and I was cleansed. And you're like, that's
some Kurt
metal.
Shit. Yeah.
That's a metal bad guy moment. Where he's like, I shot my own fucking son for the good of all of mankind, right? Right or wrong, that's his belief.
In that act. He
right,
found
and it's the exact opposite of what we saw Caesar.
Son.
Yeah.
Right, because Caesar is like, I'm going to kill the whole world and probably all of my apes because I want to avenge my son.
Right.
So it's this perfect fucking ships passing in the night moment. Mm-hmm. And Caesar has to sit there and kind of fucking bask in the road he was on.
Yeah.
But dude, Woody Harrelson in that moment, you're like, and again, you can understand his train of logic. He's not just like a guy, woo! He's not the bad guy from Mad Max Fury Road just shooting guns, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I want my tit milk. Like, you understand exactly where Woody Harrelson's character is.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. This is an existential
decision.
These are
deep, existential, a lot of subtextual things. Like, for me, like, I remember seeing the theater and walking out, and that speech really stuck with me. Like Alzheimer's is a really big thing in my family. And I was like, wow, that is pretty much how you feel, is like, that robs you of like the thing that makes you uniquely you. And, again, it's like one of those things you're like, I do see, like, I've had 2 grandparents go through it and that kind of thing. And I'm like, both of them were like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, it is this like uniquely justified, like, I'm tired of this. I tire of this world. And
yeah,
It's pretty fast. Like, again, it's one of those things where you hear that speech, and in any other movie, it probably rings false. But there's something so true to a man seeing the end of the road, and you're like, this is the end of existence.
That's the gut punch of this movie, because the first movie was all about a pandemic that just kills people.
Yeah.
And the human characters, you can relate to some of them sometimes, but mostly you want to go like, what's Caesar up to?
Right, exactly.
Because, like, you know, I've seen zombie movies or whatever. I've seen apocalypse movies. I have to watch slowly as the human race disappears, and I get to look at the faces of the empty shells of what humans used to be.
Yeah.
It's better than a zombie movie because they turn into animals, but they turn into sweet little dummies.
Yeah.
They don't turn into attack dogs. That's so much.
Yeah, well, he says we'll be cattle, right? We're just going to be out there grazing and surviving. And the real fun part of this movie is, what do they turn into before they become cattle, right? In this desperate last attempt. Because it's kind of what Koba, or what Caesar says to the donkey, right? When the donkey's like, you know, I save myself. I take care of myself. And he goes, is there even anything left to save? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're looking at with all of these human characters, right? As we see them, you know, the blood waters the grass and we make the blood, and rah, 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 and they're just fucking screaming, rah. And fucking, dude, what a great choice. Woody Harrelson's just up there shaving his head.
That's a
straight
up Kurtz.
Just so bad as shit, dude. Just, I'll shave my head as you talk about watering my lawn with blood. Let's go. But you're like, what is there left to save of humans?
Yeah.
If this is it. We're watching them run essentially an internment camp. They're killing their own. We see that they've sent other of their brethren out and shot them because they think they have the disease.
Right.
Nova's dad was one of them. Right? He ends up getting got. So it's like, what does Woody Harrelson even think is the value in this world that he's saving?
He's not.
And so I think it's those extra levels.
I don't think it's a value. I think it's a suicide mission. Yeah,
he's not
I agree.
Anything. He's doing one last. You could call it a magic ritual. One last humanity was here moment. Yeah. We're not going to go quietly into that.
He can kill the apes and like
no way
defend the attack.
I don't think it has anything to do with that at all. I agree with Jay. This is about this is about leaving your stamp. This is about writing on the wall. Yeah, humanity was here. I agree.
Okay.
Because he knows where there's two choices for him. Like, he wants to die before all this happens.
Yeah.
He knows that humanity is just going to slowly get dumber and dumber and dumber, which is for a soldier. That's just humanity giving up.
Yeah.
But through no fault of their own. But we're just gonna slowly turn into sheep. He wants to be the wolf. One last time, one battalion of wolves. He wants it to be. I mean, this is not what he says out loud, but he wants this last stand of humanity to be a horror story that apes tell their children for thousands of years.
Damn,
right.
I like
so that thousands of years later, we make sure we keep them in cages, because otherwise they'll rise up against us. Like, it's.
This was Dr. Zaius' favorite book when he was a kid.
Oh my God, I'm taking this into the other room. Like, that's Dr. Zaius, as a young
Mommy, turn on the night light. The Colonel will get me.
And Dandino, you were saying he doesn't play roles like this that often, but this is the same character he played in Reign of Fire.
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying he can't do absolute dope.
In Reign of Fire? That was McConaughey.
Oh shit.
Yeah, McConaughey's the baldy. McConaughey's baldy. You know what? That's fair though.
You're right.
To be fair though, same accent, pretty much same guy. All right.
Pretty much same guy. They're both truly detectives, right? It makes perfect sense.
They're both true detectives.
They're truly detectives, right?
They both
truly.
They both smoke a lot. Both smoke a lot of weed and talk like this, man. Yeah,
Hey, man, can I get another one of them wild fruit punches? Thank you.
I'll take it truly if you don't mind.
Circle, yeah.
All right. I'll take that truly.
Dude, I would love to get hammered.
Hey, Caesar, how you doing, man?
Woody Harrelson.
Caesar, how you doing?
Joints and like solve the mysteries of life.
I actually
beware the beast man.
Now I really want Now I really want to see this with McConaughey as the. Hey Caesar, how you doing?
Apes strong together, but is anyone together? Think about that, Apes.
Apes
I
might
don't
be
know.
strong together. I don't know.
He's just sitting there cutting his stuff apart. He goes, do you know what we were before you were smart, before you were tall? Everything begins and everything ends. One day, your children are going to travel back in time.
God
Try
damn,
to stop
this is
all
great.
this from happening. But, fuck it.
Just staring at your esophagus this
Yeah.
whole impression.
I got to tell you, Jay,
Well, because I
watching
got to get close to the man.
this is good. This is really that was I felt that. That was really nice.
It was good, man. I don't know. I mean,
We're
to me, Woody Harrelson's kind of the like thing that makes this movie leap above. Right?
Again,
There are just these
because
moments
you
that they have-
care
like the
about
scene
a
when-
human character.
But when Caesar shows
Pretty
up
rare.
and he's caught, right? He's just seen these other apes crucified. He's like, no, God, no.
Yeah.
And he's being brought into the camp, and he goes, what have I done, right? Woody Harrelson's the one that makes him, like, that rubs his nose in it for the rest of the movie, essentially, right? But that scene when they're, like, working to build this wall, and Caesar does what Caesar does. He cannot sit and just watch injustices unless he's the one committing them. And he fucking screams, leave him be. Like, let him go. And we watch Woody Harrelson have a gun to his head, right? Like, if they don't get back working, I'm going to shoot you. He shoots this orangutan who fell and hurt himself. There's a small part of me in that moment that Caesar's like, please, God, pull the trigger. Like, just fucking kill me. Right? I don't think it's until later in the movie when Nova brings him food and water and the other apes do the, apes together strong. I think in that moment he finds resolve because of Rocket's bravery and this and that. I think in that worker's moment, though, I think it's such a great moment for this trilogy because we're watching Caesar do what he's done these whole movies, which is say no.
Yeah.
But I think in that moment, he honestly hopes that the Colonel shoots him and just maybe martyrs him. But I think he's fucking done. I think he's spent
Oh
at
yeah.
that point.
Well, that's exactly why he does that though. He's literally like, fuck this. Like, I'm not going to do, because he's right back to where he started in Rise.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the same position he was, and he's like, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this differently this time. Like, it's not going to
And
be this
this
I feel
time-
sorry for myself thing.
This time has real stakes. And something that he never really says or even looks like he feels is he did this.
Yeah.
He did this.
He killed off humanity. He did. This is his fault. And
Well, he says that Koba's the one that started the war, but he's directly responsible for what Koba did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He made Koba.
And I think it's hard for him to accept
Or-
that in this movie. I think he finally comes to accept the guilt of all of that. Instead of just, why didn't I see it? I think he literally is saying, why did I drive Koba to this, right? Because one of the better scenes, too, is when they catch Winter, right? The fucking ape that betrayed them.
That might be my favorite scene in this movie, man.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so
'Cause
incredible.
You see Winter, because he's just like, again, he's at the fire. He's fucking scared. He's rightfully scared. Why did you let them go? They're going to come fucking get us. We got to leave tonight.
Yeah.
And he gets a little puffed up with Bright Eyes. And Caesar fucking stands up and does his, resting bitch face. And you see Winter cower and shrivel. And you see that the other apes are kind of like looking at him now like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense that he would then go and make a deal to save himself. And so Winter is another, we see Caesar specifically through his actions create another fucking traitor, another defector. Right? So Caesar keeps creating these people with his leadership style and refuses to learn the lessons
Right.
of Koba. And so when they're going after Winter, right, in that moment when he's like, they killed my son and wife, and you see Winter like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He's just scared. He's not sitting there like, I'm a fucking gorilla, I'm going to fucking fight all
No,
you and take
he's
my
like-
chances. He's fucking scared.
Because he knows
Which
in
is
that
the
moment.
logical response to this fucking clash of societies. And Caesar just has no seeming empathy, right? When he slowly just kills him and chokes him to death. He's just like, well, look at this piece of shit. And it's like, Caesar, you are the one who fucking put him here. You are the one who fucking led the Colonel to your wife and kid. You did that, Caesar. And it's watching him have to constantly learn that lesson this whole movie. That all the fucking dead people and civilian or chimps or whatever, gorillas in this movie franchise, almost all come back to his doorstep. I mean, Franco killed the human race. But everything after that was Caesar.
Yeah.
Like, how did he not learn the lesson of the fucking dam from the last movie? Right? Why are you fucking trusting humans again? You killed your wife and son. Right? And watching him for the whole movie just sit there fucking bloodshot eyes having to learn that lesson.
I don't think he's trusting humans at all.
When you send them back and you say, they're the message, they'll understand that we're not savages.
Well, he's not trusting the humans. He's
trusting them to do the right thing. He's trusting them to, want to be.
He's trusting them to want to end the war. They're not going to do that.
Again, it's foolhardy. I agree. But it's one of those things where he's trying to do the higher ground thing, and he's
the only one. In the last movie, he's the only one trying to do.
He's the only one trying to do higher ground, and no one will give him the higher ground. He can't even take it. Like he's just like
he's the first Obi-Wan who lost with the higher ground. I agree. Constantly.
Did Obi-Wan really lose with the higher ground?
No, Obi-Wan won because he didn't fucking help build electrical dams and shit.
Really? Did he really win? But he ended up back on Tatooine.
I think
Caesar's Obi want the humans to be better, and they're not.
I think the reason you have to have him like that in the movie, so that we have a moral center.
It's a moral compass thing.
Wrap our little hearts around, but he should have been more like Koba at this point. He should just say humans are the enemy. End of story.
I mean, they are. They are specifically. And that's why adding Nova to the movie was, I think, kind of a stroke of brilliance, right?
Mm-hmm.
One, it's this great throwback, right? When he hands her the Chevy Nova tag, I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. The first time we hear Maurice use his voice is when he goes, Nova. And it was fucking brilliant moment. But I think she adds this wonderful additional layer to this war film, right? Because a lot of war films are, war is bad, but we've got other guys trying to kill us. Let's fucking kill each other, right? So in a way, they're kind of this roundabout justification for war, which is one of the things I hate about war movies, right? Anything that feels propaganda-y to me, where it's like, war's okay, right? You just don't understand, but we need wars. Like, no, we don't. I'm out on that. By adding Nova to the middle of this movie, you can't, because we already are on the sides of the apes, right? That's where we, the audience, sit. We want them to be left alone and live in that forest, but they can't. When Caesar fucking wastes Nova's dad, and then is just going to leave her to die to the elements, right? We see that hardening in him. And Maurice is just like, dude, I can't leave this kid.
That's probably my favorite. Probably my favorite Maurice moment is when they find Nova and Caesar's got the gun pointed and he's just
doll?
like,
oh, the slow.
I'm like, that is the Maurice moment we've wanted for three movies. He's the best.
But that's what I mean. God. Just a character who he doesn't have to overdo it. They've just for 3 movies built this perfect character. And that's the moment where Maurice kind of starts guiding his own ship a little bit as a character. And it makes him amazing.
It's awesome.
That's that moment of him just handing her the doll, petting the doll. I mean, it's just quiet. It's a quiet, simple moment with no dialogue, and it's just fucking... That's what this franchise does when it's at its best, or those kind of ape and human are just... There is no, apes are human-like. They're just things that are alive and have empathy for other things that are alive.
That's why I hope in Kingdom that they have a statue of Maurice and they call him the lawgiver.
Oh, dude. Honestly, man. I was like, is he going to be the new king? Yeah. In the original apes, right, the orangutans are kind of at the highest rung of society.
Yeah.
Is this why? Is Maurice the first one? Yeah, maybe Maurice does become this lawgiver.
I mean,
I love that because he's there in Dawn teaching all the kids.
Because he's seen it all. Maybe that's what it is. Because he's seen the whole thing. He would be the lawgiver.
And he even does look like Buddha, like the statue of him in the future could just be a Buddha statue with him just like sitting there. And I love that he only says one word in Dawn and one word in this. The word he says in Dawn is run. Like that one hits you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. He did say that. No, because at the end of the movie, he uses his voice again at the end with Caesar, right? Where he's like, your son will know who his dad was, right? And I thought that was a cool moment. I just fucking love Maurice. But this thing with Nova, I thought was really brilliant. Because you're watching them, right? And as they're writing, and she's kind of hiding behind Maurice, you see Caesar just like this little bitch,
Mhm.
this little motherfucker, right? Like he's probably imagining like I'm gonna fucking break her neck
Yeah.
later, right? He doesn't want her around, right? But then we see these great moments of just this kind of like things that are alive, right? It's like we gotta coexist. Like when Luca walks up and Luca looks fucking hard, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like this big, tough fucking gorilla. And he just reaches up and puts that flower in her ear and he attempts to smile as much as a gorilla can. I was like, to me, that's magic. That's the magic of the movie. And then Luca dying, and he's like, at least I gotta protect Caesar. And she's fucking weeping on the gorilla, who showed her one moment of kindness, just one.
Yeah.
And she puts the fucking flower back in his ear. And Caesar's watching that, yes, she is a human who is my sworn enemy. But this human has empathy for my friend who I also love in this moment. She's also mourning him. I think it's this kind of brilliant, like we're watching Caesar have to grapple with his own bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of stuff is just next level in this movie. They always seem to find those moments where those little quiet things
Yeah.
kind of attack the greater lies of the movie.
It's each one of these movies is so amazingly self-contained.
Mm-hmm.
That's do you see now that we've seen them all, the thing that I said when we did the first of the trilogy, and I said this is the most cohesive, well put together, in my opinion, trilogy of all time. That's why.
I think
As far as like being planned out, like narratively from start
but see,
to
they
end,
didn't. But
yeah.
see, they didn't know that first. I don't think they greenlit a sequel before the first one came out. Like, I think what to Jay's point, what's fascinating about the sequelization of Rise is that they took the time to write these stories so that they, like Jay said, they're self-contained, but they do honor to the movies that came before it to make sure that like it's an actual cohesive narrative, not just like a sequel for sequel's sake, or not just to carry the story forward. Like this carries the story forward in so many different ways and ends the story in such a not climactic way, but such like a resolute moment of like peace, inner peace, outer peace, all this stuff's happening. Like that I think is the strength of this trilogy overall. And I agree, Jay, like it's nearly flawless in that delivery.
There's a big thing that a lot of movie franchises just refuse to do that this trilogy pulls off perfectly, which is the last movie didn't happen yesterday or whatever. And now it's 5 years later and we begin a new
This is
20
years
years
in the
later
future,
and we start a new tale. And you really can start from scratch and let the audience assume what happened in the middle.
Right.
So that you aren't bogged down by your last movie and you can just tell a new story. Just opening up Dawn with the face paint and the horses and the spears.
Yeah.
I don't need to watch them.
That segment is still probably my favorite.
You need
segment.
no explanation. You're just
I
like,
think-
cool, shit's been
right.
going on.
I think, though, I would even like say what this franchise does better that puts it in that pantheon with the other great trilogies. It's not narratively, right? Because if you look at the narratives, right? Bitchy teenager burns down a city. Okay, cool. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, dads have disputes over where each other's lawns end. That's part 2, right? All right. Now, grumpy old dads fight to the death, right? Narratively, there's not a lot in this trilogy that even matters to me as far as the plot goes. What this franchise does that is what all franchises need to do is the character journeys from movie to movie are exponentially stronger and better, right? Like we're really sinking into them as actual characters. And that's what we're following and care about, not as much the machinations of what's happening and where. But over 3 movies, the amount of journey we go on with Caesar and with Maurice, right? And humans kind of occupy this one character, right? So we see like from the start Franco to Woody Harrelson, but that character journey is the story of this franchise that I think more franchises need to emulate.
It's
the
the
fact
art.
that the past movies have changed these characters and us as we go.
And you're right. That's the absolute truth. And this is what you said in the first movie, which is this is about heart. This is about Caesar.
Yeah.
And the changing Caesar's surroundings and Caesar's circumstances, but keeping Caesar the same man is what makes these so engaging.
Right, we watch every movie as he's carrying the fucking weight of everything we've seen. He's legitimately like struggling with it still, right? And so those moments change. It's not like we just restart and it's like, oh, there's Caesar again walking down the street, and now we have to restart like an emotional journey from scratch. The emotional journey never stops, right? It's just this fucking like rise to a cliff, and then it falls at the end of this one. So I think the character work in a movie that is about these kind of apes that don't talk all the time, right? There's a lot of quiet and stillness with the apes. I think the fact that they get us to care as much as we do is the great achievement of the franchise, right? And by the time we get to this one, right, whatever they were doing with the CG and the bodysuits, I mean,
unmatched.
If Andy Serkis was gonna get nominated for one of these movies, this is
I think this is the like most criminal. This is the most criminal
could have been
thing.
nominated for sure. He's so fucking good in this movie.
It's the most criminal thing that they don't nominate him simply because he's, quote, not on screen. I'm like, how the fuck do you get that performance from a not actor? Like, get the fuck out of here with that. He absolutely should have been at least nominated for this because it's an unbelievable performance.
Well, if they just made this a human-on-human war movie and that was just him doing the exact same things he did in this movie,
he would have won straight
100% would have been nominated.
Yeah.
1,000%. Like it is a real shame that there are just people that won't appreciate this on the level it deserves.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, you couldn't have made this movie if it was a human war movie.
No, it would be uninteresting.
Yeah.
Well, no, what I'm saying is just like the darkness on both sides and the whatever. War movies, for some reason, always have to have like some sort of moral why it's okay to have a military. Like the military is still awesome.
That's why Apocalypse Now rules.
Yeah.
Because it's just this guy floating through, man, isn't this bullshit?
That's the last time we were allowed to do that.
I mean, it's the Vietnam of it all, because at that point everyone was so against Vietnam, like that was the value. So
what's that weird like Saving Private Ryan? It's like, but they saved Mrs. Ryan's third boy, and it's like, well, they killed two of them, and now there's all these other moms that don't have their kids, so we can save this one guy. All right, that seems worth it. Weird. Was that heroic? Weird. No, dude, war movies like always are fucking itchy to me in that way.
yeah.
I'm like, if you're trying to justify why we need these kinds of like land wars.
For me, war movies about like what you're talking about, which is like strictly about the fight, like stories contained within war movies, like Three Kings, Jarhead, like stories about stuff like that, like about the human element of war itself. That's worth watching.
Fucks you up. Yes,
that's
but
worth
even
watching.
Jarhead, like like I don't know.
Well, his journey is that he wanted to kill people and he didn't get to.
Any early 2000s movie, like while we're still in war in the Middle East.
Yeah.
About war in the Middle East where like our nation has invaded a place.
Yeah.
And is like decimating them. All those stories are about how sad the invaders are.
Yeah.
Well, dude, just imagine this year, Top Gun Maverick was nominated for a Best Picture. That movie is essentially like, we don't need pilots because drones can kill everyone. And the pilots are like, no, we can do it. And then for no reason, we just go invade a country that we don't even name.
No named country, too.
In a place where we don't even see their faces or their skins, right? They're all covered in suits, so they're not humans. So we can justify why T. Cruz has got to go blow up their shit and run away.
No.
Right? Like, if that is not the most propaganda piece of shit.
Oh, it absolutely.
And honestly, it's a good movie. It's a well-made movie, but the idea and the premise of that movie is so fucking childish and asinine. And we just didn't even question it. We're like, oh, it's the Top Gun movie. We literally just went and for no reason invaded a country because they might be making missiles, but then we solve it by shooting our missiles at them first. And at the end, we all cheer on a carrier that we've just committed a massive act of war. Totally unjustified on a place where we can't even see them because then we might think they're humans and feel bad about what happened.
Right. On this era of American warfare, it's an interesting space because like 10 years ago, they would have been Middle Eastern. And then...
Oh, for sure.
20 years
And this
before
time,
that,
we think they feel Russian.
Russian.
Well,
They
yeah,
live in
well,
Russian.
and like 20 years before that, they would have been Eastern European. But we're at like this little cusp where we're like trying to get to Eastern European again, but we're not ready.
We don't have the
talk
next.
about it.
We don't have the
Well,
next
no, 'cause
true
now
international enemy
we're,
yet.
we're at heads with China, but they also need to buy our movie.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can't do any of that shit. Yeah,
I mean,
You know
it's fucking. That's the thing, though. If your military movie is just asking me to celebrate acts of war, I'm uninterested.
but to this point, like in the military vein of the movie itself, what's fascinating to me, and this is something that this is what I like totally brings. Besides like the end scene, what brings home the movie is when Caesar goes in to finally like ice the colonel, and he walks up.
This motherfucker, yes.
He walks up, and I think this is the thing that I love is he's holding the doll, and it's covered in a nosebleed, and you realize like the colonel, even in this like slowly regressing stupor, realizes holy shit, it's not, because like what we've been talking about is the colonel's like last stand essentially. It's not apes, it's us. That's like, we are the ones who are like, it's like an ape is not infecting people. It's a human.
They
it's
have
a child's
the virus,
doll.
but it's not mutating in them, right?
Right.
So they have the base virus, which they already survived. When it hits the human body, that's when it mutates and finds a new way to attack
it's
us.
us that's killing us. Like it's a really specific, weird subtextual metaphor. Not weird, but like the subtextual
Well, that's
metaphor.
why he was killing people and shit, yeah.
So cool. Like it is so hardcore.
Well, that moment of him
And that
just kind of
moment's just
like
incredible.
he's trying to drink it away. He was looking at the picture of his son, which was on the wall, but now is on the table.
Yeah.
So now he's like probably sinking into that what have I done, right? Now me too. He doesn't even make it to his big fight. But that moment when he grabs the gun in Caesar's hand and does the fly, right?
Yeah.
And just, again, this is why Andy Serkis probably should have been nominated. Watching him go through the entire cycle of, I want to kill this guy, to fuck, I pity to this guy, to holy shit, am I a monster like him, to what is this going to actually change in my life? Like that whole cycle happens in like a 1-2 minute just silent scene.
Yeah.
You watch
That
Andy
last
Serkis
moment.
go through that whole fucking emotional journey.
That last moment, that last decision that he makes, I go back and forth on it. Is it, I'm done fighting, it's not worth it? Or is it, let this motherfucker rot?
No, it's let him suffer.
Yeah.
I think it's
Immediately after that picks up grenades and goes and fights.
Yeah.
I think it's let him suffer. This guy deserves, rather than I lost my family and I have to live with that, this man has to live with the fact that he is turning into
Yeah, well, because I think there's a part of Caesar that sees himself, and he's like, I will always suffer.
Yeah.
Because of the cost of the series of this franchise, right? And he just goes, let him sit in it, man. Let him fucking feel miserable like me. Because it would have been an act of mercy, right? When he says you have no mercy to the colonel, an act of mercy would have been shooting this guy that he knows doesn't want to live like that. But he doesn't give him mercy. And I don't know if at this point in the movie Caesar has mercy left in him.
No.
Right? Like Caesar might just be fucking fully broken. Because that's the thing. He can escape with his family. The lesson he's already learned in this movie is I should have stayed with them and been there to lead them and protect them and get them to that oasis. Immediately, an hour and a half later in the movie, he gets a chance to do better and make the right choice. He still goes back to kill this one guy who's about to fucking die anyways. Right? The war is literally happening. This massive fucking army's coming in with tanks and copters and all this shit, dude. He's gonna die. Or he knows the disease will get humans eventually. And Caesar refusing to get in that tunnel is so fucking infuriating.
Mm.
But it's also the most Caesar decision.
Yeah.
That's just what he does, is constantly make bad choices.
He puts the world on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
Then he lugs it alone.
Yes.
It's
unfairly. Unlike Atlas, he didn't have to carry that shit. He's like, hey, I got it. I'll do it.
It's the folly. It's the folly of man and ape at that point. Like he's just doing what
he thinks that bullet is going to take away the pain of what he lost, pain he caused. And
every person who can't see clearly past their pain does stuff like this. Like it's again, I can only keep saying it. It's a very human feeling. It's a very human emotion. It's a very human moment in a life.
If you are intelligent and you are sentient, this is the world you will live in.
Yeah.
We cannot help ourselves. We
That's
have
why-
to assign greater meaning to everything.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting sort of like the ballsy, crazy asshole who started the revolution should never continue to run a government.
Yeah, he should be martyred.
Yeah.
He should be martyred so everyone thinks, wow, that guy was really smart. He knew what he was doing.
And then people like Maurice run the government.
Yeah. So Maurice should definitely be in charge
Maurice
for the record.
absolutely should be the lawgiver in Kingdom. by
Hell,
the
even
way.
Rocket, right? Like, Rocket shows true courage in that moment when he saves Nova and he does the Koba, like, hoo, hoo, hoo.
Yeah.
And then gets his ass kicked by the big gorilla, right? And then he's just like, hey, cool, are you feeling better? Like, let's plan this shit. And you're like, that's the guy right there.
Can we talk about
himself
Steve
on the line for
Zahn,
no
Bad
reason.
Ape?
Oh, dude.
Bad
How good
Ape.
is Steve Zahn?
Honestly, this is incredible that I loved it because this had Jar Jar Binks written all over it.
Shouldn't have worked. It really shouldn't have.
I agree.
Should
This
have
felt like-
interrupted this
It's
deep movie.
so disruptive to the
I
narrative.
honestly forgot the character was in the movie.
Yeah.
In the first couple seconds, I'm like, oh no.
It's so disruptive to like the flow of the movie, and you're like, why are we doing this?
But when he goes, Caesar's like, I lost a son, and he's like, I had a son too. And he has this, again, just the real fucking like performance.
Every
You're like,
single
oh, this
time.
is, and also it's like he's got no hair. You're like, he was probably traumatized and tortured.
Every single time you think Matt Reeves is going to take this off the rails, he like presents you with this weirdness, and you're like, come on, Matt Reeves, you're better
just
than
saying,
this. And then
if
also
he
you're like,
lands
oh
Bad
shit,
Ape-
Matt Reeves, you are this good.
We should believe in him forever because he
Ever.
landed Bad Ape.
He can
This
do
should-
literally
this should
whatever
have
he
been
wants.
it.
Because
Absolutely nothing else.
another thing that Bad Ape does, it gives Caesar hope that he didn't have before. Caesar doesn't know. This is the moment that he realizes that apes woke up all around the world. I don't think he thought. I don't think he thought
that was
about
another thing. I agree. Yeah, I don't think he thought anyone other than them were.
That's how they're West
intelligent.
Coast apes, and the original movie apes are East Coast, dude. They're everywhere.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's my new headcanon.
Yeah.
Well done.
Because
Well, I mean, that it makes sense, right?
True.
That makes sense. I thought that was a great addition.
and the East
Like,
Coast
this is
apes
happening ever.
think that the bomb had something to do with it, but it didn't. They don't know why they rose up. But I think about this all the time of the apes that live in the Congo and the culture that's gonna form from apes that became sentient. They like the tribal cultures that are gonna form.
Yeah.
The
They
amazing.
were never in captivity.
Yeah. I think mostly I love bonobos. Do you guys know anything about bonobos?
Oh yeah, with the giant fucking noses.
No. These are like sort of like they are like an evolution from chimpanzee. They're slightly different than chimpanzee. They're like
I've seen
Neanderthals.
the Chicago Zoo has that amazing ape house. I've definitely seen these.
They're like Neanderthals to us. They're like just that a little bit different.
Oh yeah, look at these motherfuckers.
And look at them. They have long human-like legs, and they have lips, which is the only humans and bonobos are the only apes that have lips, and it's because they have sex facing each other.
Sick.
Yeah, and they are the most peaceful ape that exists.
They have sex facing each other. What's wrong with them?
Because they kiss. No,
They need the hub. They need to learn new positions.
but like they don't fight with each other the way other apes, including us, do. They make love, not war. Literally, if they have a conflict, they fuck it out seriously, and they just like have sex and they eat nuts and berries and they chill by the river. And I'm just thinking, I've always had this thought about them coming to sentience and just having like a peace with nature, and just being this this beautiful culture, and then a few hundred years later.
and Caesar shows up and fucking burns it to the
few hundred
ground.
years later, American apes come over on boats and are just like savages.
I got it. Sorry, I was just looking this. I just looked this up on World Wildlife Fund. Like, what's special about bonobo monkeys?
Apes.
Their society is also different. Bonobo groups tend to be more peaceful and are led by females. They also maintain relationships and, most importantly, settle conflicts through sex. I'll tell you right now, I would have liked, that would have been a very different Planet of the Apes film had we decided to be.
Oh yeah, no, they do. They set up
Almost
conflict for sex. They don't attack each other.
All right, let's bang it out.
The females are slightly. You should just watch these videos. The females are slightly bigger than the males, and they just like if the males are getting a little bit uppity or angry or whatever, they just shove them until they get frustrated enough to fuck them.
To anger bang, nice.
Yeah, and then they do, and then the females are like, "Feel better now, buddy? Go have a snack."
There you go. Have a snack and a cig. You're fine.
Caesar should have been better since he had 10 wives. Then what the fuck?
See, there it is. See, you needed a cigarette right afterwards. That's what's going on.
Yeah, Caesar's out there. He sees the war happening. He's like, fucking man, still only fights each other. The donkey blowing up Preacher.
Ooh.
That's one of my favorite moments in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
That was fucking righteous. The donkey sees the apes getting mowed down. The guy's yelling at him, treating him like shit. Preacher, who's one of the fucking bitch-ass humans that Caesar let go, shot him in the ribs with a crossbow.
Yep.
Again, reaffirming that humans can never do good. The donkey fucking wastes him with the grenade launcher, then gets executed. But that moment where he blows him up is fucking righteous.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just am so tickled by the code names where like ape enemies are Kong, Caesar is King Kong, and the ones that work with you are Donkey Kong. It's just so fun. I love it so much.
There's a lot of really nice. Yeah, I like those little. There are those little things, those little details in this movie, and all these movies that are just. It's pretty.
They cared. They wanted to make this movie.
Yes.
They wanted to make it feel real,
it's
man.
so good. And then we still like Caesar like standing on the rock, and all the troops turn to see him. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Caesar? Stop it. Then the avalanche, right? Fine. They make it to the desert climb, which I thought was cool because it brings it back to the original, right?
Yeah.
It kind of has that landscape that we remember. I kind of thought Caesar dying would have mattered more to me. I think there's this moment by the end of that movie, he doesn't seem to have anything left, right? He has just enough strength to lead them there.
Agreed.
He says goodbye to his son. And just like, he just is fucking done, dude. He's special.
I feel happy for him in that moment.
Me too. It's peaceful.
Oddly, yes. Like, you're kind of
a
like,
very
oh,
peaceful
thank God
moment.
for this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got them to a better place, he hopes. And I did love the line. He's like, apes strong without Caesar. Right? Like, not even apes together strong. Just like, you guys are going to be fine. He saw the heroics of Maurice. That's the completion of a narrative. He saw the heroics of Rocket. Right? He believes in Nova, right, as like a good being. I think he's like, I can rest, dude. I can finally like put this out.
Yeah.
Even though he's orphaning a kid. But
also, they definitely enslaved Nova right afterwards, but nevertheless,
and then Maurice is like, finally. He starts whipping the shit out of Nova. He's like, gorillas, you work for me. Dude, yeah. Maurice doing a WWE heel turn 5 seconds after the movie ends is my favorite new thing.
So many heroes' journeys do the Christ story. Nobody taps into the Moses story.
Yeah.
He's the Moses savior.
Yeah.
And it's almost refreshing.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's we don't need to see that narrative over and over again. We've already seen it once. Like, to do the Moses story, to lead your people to the promised land is like...
Shots fired.
What'd you say?
I said it's also not that good of a narrative. Shots fired.
Oh.
Well, you can't write a story with 15 different guys over the course of 300 years and make it a good, cohesive story.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're going to base your life on a book, the Bible's probably the worst written of the books. Neither here nor there. It's just not a good read. It's not a good read, guys.
No. Read the individual stories in the Old
past
Testament.
the New Testament. The New Testament's real boring.
New Testament is government propaganda.
That Old Testament, though?
It's all government. It's like, you know
hard.
who heaven loves? Poor people who don't raise their voice, who do the... I know your life sucks now and we're stepping on you, but when you get to the cloud place, we're going to give up our power for you. Oh, sure you are. That's like Maurice. That's a Maurice heel turn. Never mind. I'm not here to fucking shit on the Bible like I do every other episode. I'm in for people who like the Bible but don't base their lives on it, right? Like, just be an okay person without fucking trying to fuck everything up. Neither here nor there.
Right.
There's some nice stuff in there. Don't let a guy in a funny outfit tell you what it means.
Yeah. Well, that's like my wife. My wife is super Christian, but she just is like, I want to be a good person, but doesn't feel the need to like cram it down everyone else's throat. I'm like, that's fine. She married me, probably the most sacrilegious man who exists.
The
Neither
value
here nor there. We got to do this before we're out of this, right?
Yeah.
This is our last episode on our amazing Damn Dirty April run. Thank you again, Jay. This has been fucking
we love
Thank
outstanding.
you for having me. Oh my god, this is the first
absolutely.
one that
We're
I'm
going to already
recording.
have to find your new franchise, dude. That's how good this is.
We got to figure it out.
Oh, Paul Verhoeven, all of them.
I will definitely rewatch Starship Troopers.
Here's the question we got to do, though. If we're doing our final rankings of all 9.
Holy shit.
I have my list.
Let me pull up a list.
You can agree or disagree. I have a list right here. I think we can all agree the bottom of the barrel is Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because War did it better.
Yes.
War and Dawn.
And then I think I would go Beneath the Planet of the Apes, second worst.
I do enjoy it, but yeah, definitely second
It's
worst.
fun, but it's very disjointed. It doesn't
very
feel
fun,
like a
but
whole
also
thing.
makes no sense. Yeah.
All right, third from the bottom, I have Marky Mark's. Not a great movie, but some really cool like effect work, really good cast.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'll give you
I
that.
think I think it is generically a stronger movie than Beneath and Battle.
It's a movie. It's an actual. Yeah, it's an actual movie that has.
It has Tim Roth and Michael Clark
Not a
Duncan.
good one, but
Paul Giamatti are better than everything in those other.
It has the length of a movie, unlike Battle. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's and Beneath is not a movie. It's not. It's not a movie.
Yeah, Beneath was like a rehashing with like a weird like I didn't see that coming.
Beneath.
This is
Yeah,
the
so
worst-
I would go Marky Mark third from the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right above that, I would go Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Right above Marky Mark. This is the thing; they're all good from here, so it really gets hard, right?
Yeah, like this is
I
the
would
part
go
that
Marky
I don't.
Mark.
Yeah.
Then I would go Escape is better than Marky Mark.
Better than
Wait,
Rise.
wait.
Is what you're
Wait,
saying?
Rise is below Marky Mark.
No, Marky
Okay.
Mark, then Rise, then
Yeah.
Escape. Escape is better than Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
I was about to bring out the monkey knife fight again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that again.
No.
For those of you who
I
didn't
think,
listen to
as everyone who
Patreon.
listened, we did plenty of screaming at each other for an entire episode. Again, and I don't dislike that movie. It's written in crayon. It's adorable. So yeah, then you go from Escape to Dawn is right above Escape for me. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Then I go Conquest. This is the hard one for me.
I'd probably
I think
flip
then
those.
I go Original, and then I go War for the Planet of the Apes #1.
I can live with that list.
It's hard to put anything above the first one because the shock value of what that one was. But I think on a filmmaking level, War of the Planet of the Apes is the highest they've achieved.
I can live with that list as long as Conquest and Rise are interchangeable.
Conquest and Dawn, you mean?
Dawn.
Conquest is so much better than Dawn. Dawn is great,
so?
but Conquest is so much
I don't know,
better
man.
to
To me, it's
because Conquest is like the perfect like document of this is what makes Planet of the Apes awesome. Dawn
Sure.
spins its wheels a little bit. It gets to play around because we've done all these other movies.
It's hard to
Okay, I'll give
compare
you that.
Conquest
because
is a
of
fucking like hardened fucking
Rise
missile
runs
movie.
because Conquest walked. I can get that.
Yeah, it's hard
Dawn.
to compare
God
them because
damn it, I
like the
cannot keep these straight.
the 70s sci-fi, all the 70s sci-fi of it, like
Yeah.
it's just it lives in this special kind of filmmaking that's gone.
It's just fucking amazing. It's a prison riot movie, right? It's just this fucking awesome. I mean, I just think that one is so fucking stone cold.
And I don't know
love
if we
that
talked
movie.
about it at the time, but Caesar's haircut in Conquest is this really cool 1970s long hair thing. And he's the first ape in the franchise to have ape male to have long hair. And it does
He's getting to do.
wavy mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
I
wavy
just-
mullet-
I
He,
think-
he went
I
and
think
saw
Conquest
Godspell,
is-
and he was like, "I'm going to do that."
I think that list is pretty unassailable. I think it's the hard. Can War really be above Planet?
It's pretty incredible, man.
It's pretty fucking incredible. It's this epic final like swan song to this great trilogy.
You know why?
But it's
okay.
like the impact.
You know
of
why
the
it
first
can't?
one is so fucking huge.
You know why this is why War couldn't be above the original, is because War is the last of a trilogy. War's informed by all the other movies. It has the benefit. So you kind of have to give it up for the original because it's the first one out the gate.
I don't always think the first one. This is the thing.
I don't either.
One has
no. I'm not saying that at all.
Kind of contained sci-fi story.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like it's hard to. I mean, but War is just like I think War's obviously a better.
Yeah,
War's a better made movie.
Are better. The storyline is more engaging. The first one, it has
really
that
hard,
shock
man.
value of like, holy shit, what if you were human cattle on a planet of apes? Like that is like an unassailably great like place for a movie to happen.
War does such a good job.
Do you guys think, because so much of this is like needs, it doesn't like the emotional parts don't. You need the first two movies to care about this movie. It also has so many wonderful Easter eggs to the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we were all so blown away by this? Because unlike anybody else who will just pick this up, we just watched every single other Planet of the Apes movie.
I mean, 100% for a fact.
1,000%, yes.
Doing them in a row makes War better.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I think on just like an actual like compelling film level, I think, and that's the thing, like I think Empire is better than New Hope, right? It definitely has to stand on New Hope.
Yeah.
If you watch Empire without the knowledge of A New Hope, it's probably not going to be as powerful as it is.
Yeah.
Right? And I think War is that great example of it. It's standing on the shoulders of a giant, which is the first Planet of the Apes. Culturally, that is one of the most kind of in our pop culture brain science fiction movies ever made. It's fucking righteous. It has this awesome 70s style. Like everything about that movie I love. This is standing on that shoulder and just reaching a little higher to me. Yeah. If you're a person who's just like you can't have War above Planet, I would not even care to argue that with you.
You're absolutely okay. You're absolutely
I mean, you
right.
could choose whatever you want.
You can't have War would not be what it is if there was no such thing as Conquest of the Planet of the Apes because they cared enough to watch those. They did. They had to because it's got the same arc where like he is a little circus chimp with his best friend, and then he sees the oppression of the apes, and he immediately rises up. As soon as his favorite person is dead.
As soon as Dad shuts off his credit card.
Yeah.
No.
As soon as he realizes that I am not, just because I'm smart and just because I'm talking about Conquest right now, but like it's the same story that happened in this trilogy. As soon as he realized I am not,
if I reach back to watch,
I'm just like them.
Yes. If I'm reaching back to what do I want to watch the most, it's Conquest.
Yeah. I
think the original is this like watershed movie, but I think War reaches the highest on so those are like kind of my top three are those.
Yeah.
I would rewatch Conquest over any of these movies any day. I don't think it's the best Planet of the Apes movie though.
But this trilogy is what happens without studio oversight.
Yeah.
This is what you can have.
Honestly, like they just clearly love Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah.
Because it does, while they're so different, it still feels like it could possibly fit in. Right? This could be the first time, the Alpha timeline before Cornelius and Zira come back.
Right.
Because that's like the one disconnect, is Escape doesn't feel like it fits in with these. But if this movie happens, and then they come back and start this kind of like loop, maybe. It all feels like it plays nice together, which I think is really fun about this franchise.
It's a journey, man. It is really like, now that we've watched them all back to back, I got to tell you, it is like, it's probably the most, even with the two separate series essentially within the series of movies, it's just this really fascinating journey. Not even from from a production standpoint, but just like storytelling and like building on the last one. Like, you know, the original series tries it a couple of times. And I think, you know, you're just in a situation where you don't have a big budget and you don't know how to convince people to go sit down and watch a movie about the Planet of the Apes unless they really want to watch it. I think what's awesome about the new trilogy is we've had years to watch the Planet of the Apes movies and years of people like us going, I wonder if there'd be another like way to make a good Planet of the Apes movie. And then we've got it and we're like, holy shit, there absolutely is a way to build this one and make it move forward. Like, it's incredible.
There's an epic trilogy there. The original is an absolute victory of kind of serialized storytelling, but it still works together.
Right.
Like the fact that they just did such weird leaps between movies, so it always felt fresh and the same. Right? I just think if you're looking at franchises as like most quality entry, like movie for movie, I mean, this ranks up there with anything. Right?
Can we speculate on Kingdom just one last time?
Man. Is Matt Reeves doing Kingdom?
No. He's doing the Batman, man. He's busy.
I'll say this, after watching War,
who's the asshole who's going to... I'm really bummed out.
I'm much less excited for Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because it feels like we really like ran to the end. So now they got to do something that's not Caesar.
Wes Ball is the director.
Well, but that's why... It'll do it again. Because we are going to start fresh. And it's going to be like, you know...
Because we've done that. The first one was, you know, kind of Cornelius and Zira and Taylor, right? Dr. Zaius. Then we had Mark Wahlberg's was kind of like this in-between. And then we did the Caesar trilogy. So it feels like it's going to be hard to get back to that level. But
yeah,
it won't be a franchise that has almost always got it right.
Yeah.
All right, so this is
It won't be the same, but it could.
Well, now it's part of a Disney movie,
a completely fresh start. Yeah,
so this is the synopsis. This is the premise.
Okay.
From Wikipedia. Years after the events of War of the Planet of the Apes, obviously, many ape clans have emerged in the oasis where Caesar led his fellow apes to, while humans have regressed into a feral state. We already know all this. One ape leader perverts the teachings of Caesar to enslave other clans in search of the last traces of a secret human technology, while another ape embarks on a journey to find freedom side by side of a young girl.
Secret human
technology. Dude, they're doing Beneath. They're
doing Beneath.
They're doing Beneath.
They're doing Beneath. Woody Harrelson's is just going to be...
I don't remember if I already said this, but I think it really easily flows that if one strain of the virus makes you less intelligent, another one can heighten your abilities and give you psychic powers.
Sure, why not?
And so you could do Beneath.
This one's going to be hard because I know Dan Dino's like mantra is, I don't care about the humans. If you don't have humans and apes, you're kind of losing those important...
You need them both to play off each other so that you don't give a shit about the humans enough to enjoy this. Like,
we've never had one that doesn't have like sentient humans on some level. This would be the first one where they're all feral.
Yeah, and it's ape clan.
Or are
ape
they?
Clan. We're just done.
And that's what I mean. Are they gonna really do like the opening of Dawn and really commit to that like quiet, introspective movie? I worry that it's not. It's
the
like
only
kind of
character
brought into the Fox umbrella or the Disney umbrella.
The only character announced is somebody playing Cornelius, the son of Caesar.
Right.
So we're now following Cornelius' story.
I don't know. I would have hope. Like I'll for sure be there opening weekend. I'll have
hope. Of course. I'll watch it.
Yeah, and we'll have like whatever, like 25-year-old Nova.
Yeah.
Being the house pet.
Yeah, something like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
maybe she's the young girl.
This franchise has earned the benefit of the doubt from me.
Agreed.
The biggest bummer is that we did do all of these. We did record all of these in order, except we've been putting off Marky Mark, so we haven't done that one yet. And this isn't like the last big recording where we're like, how fucking great was all this? The last one is gonna be like this little, oh God. Oh, Mark.
It is
oh,
kind
my
of a
God.
step
Why
up.
is he Abraham Lincoln?
This is exactly why we're doing this as a commentary.
I think that movie's so much more maligned than it should be, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a perfectly fine movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you look at the grand scheme of, like, shit you've gone to see at the theater, that's a perfectly fine and acceptable movie.
Yeah.
You know, I actually liked it. I was a child, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a disastrous first date on that movie, but other than that, it was great. But we'll talk about it. That's it for Damn Dirty April. God damn, has it been amazing.
Well, so awesome.
Woo! Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
We'll bring
Thank
Jay
you.
back for another franchise. We've got
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of good franchises to cover still.
Yeah,
So we'll bring Jay
listened-
back.
This is the first one I recorded where I have listened to another episode. And I got to say, that first one, I didn't, know how to do podcasts. Not that I do now, but I'm better
You're a
at it.
seasoned pro now.
Seasoned pro, in my
You
opinion.
know, I let other people talk a little bit.
Oh, Alex and I never do that. So it's
Yeah, please. This is like
And
the
are
key
you gonna
component
cut
of the
out
pod.
McConaughey? Because I was just like, oh my God. This is
That
like
was a
everybody's
really
got to
good
stop for
McConaughey.
Jay to do
No.
an impression shit isn't like all
I
those-
only cut out things that make me seem stupid, and that happens very rarely. So you're fine.
Sure.
Dandino's face. All right, guys. We'll
These pods
see you.
usually last 3 hours. Griffey cuts them down to an hour because that's how
No.
many stupid things he says.
Well, because I can't spell all of my best beans in one field. But
Well, here's what I think
next
about
month-
you. Listen, here's what I think about you. Griffey is great. I love Griffey.
yeah.
there we
Okay?
go. There we
Is
go.
that fine?
All I wanted from this last one, honestly,
Perfect.
was for you to come on bended knee and say I was right about Rays when you guys both brutally attacked me for no reason.
Nobody
We don't have
thinks
to
that.
relitigate. 2 weeks from now, you're going to hear the episode and be like, damn, Griff was right. We were unfairly accosting
However, the only
him.
way you're going to hear about it is if you sign up for our Patreon.
I'm
So-
Caesar, and you guys were donkeys unfairly beating me and chaining me to crosses, even though I was right.
Well,
Neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. Next month, we are covering early films from all of our friends that won Academy Awards this year for acting. So next month, we have School Ties, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, True Lies, and The Temple of Doom. So that's going to be a really fun curation next month. So join us then. Make sure to go support on patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod to make sure you got all of the Apes movies and to get the awesome stuff coming down the pipe next month. Thank you again, Jay. Tell the people where to find your stuff.
At J Rollins Art on the socials. While
That's
they
right.
last.
Go find Jay, guys. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed The Planet of the Apes as much as we did. Bye.
Hey.
Bye.